time I saw you. So there you go.
Okay.
G'day,
Your
Mark.
computer's so
G'day, Bruce. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thanks.
How's your singing voice?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, brushed it off to sing the national anthem today at the gala day.
Oh, right. Okay, that's good.
Okay. All right, then we'll
So, Mark, I introduced you already, but
Yep.
just in case you'd like to know what I said, I explained that you have a vision for clubs to use technology better, and you think that we may be able to help you with that. I didn't like to disabuse you of that idea when you raised it, but anyway, we'll see what we can do. And also that you are a man who is making wearing stilettos popular again. So but I will leave you to explain that.
Well, thanks, Lyndall. Look, as regards to technology is concerned, with things like, Facebook Live and a few other programs, I think there's no real good reason that we can't stream elements of the district conference. And I know, Jeff, you might be happy to hear that. And I know you've been on my back for a couple of years, basically since I was named nominee. You've been on my back about that, and I just want you to know that I have never quite forgotten your efforts to impress that upon me. So I thank you for that. I'm not sure at this stage how successful we'll be in that, but we're going to give it a red hot go. So bear that in mind. It's I've seen this done at a district conference in Sydney. 9685 did it in the same year as the convention. They had a one-day conference at Chatswood, and that conference, I know for a fact, went all around the world. And while that's arguable, the value of that is arguable, I suppose. But I think that if there is any member of the Rotary district who cannot attend the district conference and still wants to participate in some small way, that they should be given the opportunity to do that. And I particularly am mindful of people with illnesses or various impediments that prevent them from doing that. Also, there's people who can't afford to go to a district conference, and I think they need to be taken into consideration as well. Can everyone just put their thumbs up or something if they're hearing me? Because I just want to make sure that it's getting through loud and clear. That's good. Okay, thank you very much. In terms of the general day-to-day running of a Rotary Club, I really want to impress upon people that merely having a website or merely having a club full of members that actually have email now, and I know there are still clubs that boast about that, that's not good enough for my liking. I really want to see clubs not only using technology to communicate amongst themselves, and I think there are great inroads that can be done there, and I'm particularly mindful of club bulletins, but I want clubs to be able to use social media to a much greater extent to communicate with the people in their communities. I think a lot of clubs put their hands up and say, oh, the job's done because we've got a Facebook page or we have a Twitter feed or something along those lines. Those elements are no good if nobody knows about them. And yet in just about every community, there are Facebook special interest groups that will welcome the participation and involvement of Rotary and Rotary clubs, just so that they can find out about the sorts of projects that Rotarians are doing and the sorts of projects with which Rotarians need help from members of the volunteer community. People are often fond of saying that the youth of today don't want to involve themselves in community volunteering, etc. I can tell you from my experience that is absolutely not true. In fact, I would suggest that kids of today, and I'm talking kids from around about the age of 15 through to the age of about 35, when families begin to settle down and whatnot, Those kids of today are absolutely probably more involved with community organisations and volunteering than any of us ever were. And I know that sounds hard to believe, but you've got to take into consideration organisations like GetUp and the crowdsourcing the startup the online startup organisations, the Kickstarter sites and whatnot, that absolutely allow people to get involved. I just think that if Rotarians can be seen more in their communities as actually doing stuff and engaging people to help them do stuff, even if they don't bring them on as members, then that will benefit Rotary to a very large extent. I know, I live up here in the Southern Highlands, and I know, for example, that that there are sites called Just Ask Southern Highlands, buy and sell Southern Highlands. There are all sorts of groups around those. There's the Southern Highlands Gig Guide. These are organisations that say, if we're putting on a concert, say Bruce with the rugby choir or something like that, we can put that gig up on a local website that has literally thousands of members of a Facebook group, for example, and considering that there are very few Rotary clubs with more than about 50 members in our district, I think there's only about one, most of those thousands of people on those Facebook groups will not be Rotarians and probably won't even know a Rotarian. So this is a way of getting through to them. So what we really need is for people who are savvy with technology to be prepared to go out to clubs and actually volunteer their services to teach members how to log on to Facebook, how to log on to, how to find Facebook groups, how to, and to do that sort of thing. And that might mean taking time to actually go to somebody's house, and it might be, 76-year-old George who's, feeling pretty chuffed because he's just got email, and actually allow him to feel a lot more comfortable to the point where he can start playing himself, because it's only when you start experimenting with these sites that you actually get to learn a little bit about how they work and what they're useful for, and how we can utilize that. Beyond that, I don't know how your members might be prepared to do that, but I know that we've got some who are down the South Coast. We've got some quite, by the look of you, you've got quite a few in Canberra there. I know, Rob Woolley, for example, is a technical wizard. Just look at those headphones on him there. That's just amazing. He looks like an FA-18 pilot there. So, you've got to have some people who are prepared to go out and actually do this sort of helping hands-on lessons. We can bring Evan Burrell down from Sydney, and we can, call Natalie Jupe out to help and all that. But we need people that dare I say it, elderly Rotarians of a certain age will be comfortable to hear the lessons from. I think this is really important. And that's where I'm sort of reaching out to you guys. This might be something that you can do for the district. And you're not going to raise any money doing this. You're not going to, the Rotary Foundation, I'm sorry, Rob, won't be any better off for it or anything like that. Although the Rotary Foundation might be better off because people can inform themselves a little better about what's going on with the Rotary Foundation, and they can use crowdsourcing sites to raise money for the Rotary Foundation. If we don't get people using those sorts of sites, we're going to be stuck in the 1980s for a long, long time. I don't know how that strikes you. Maybe I've scared the living daylights out of you. I'm sorry if I have. But I'm happy to hear some feedback on it, and I'm happy to to answer any questions you might have around that. There you go.
No, I had a conversation with Brian, and I've forgotten his surname, from Bomaderry Club. They're a bit suspicious about it all, and the suggestion was, and I hope David's still around, whether we could actually set up a meeting like this at one of their club meetings, so that a few of us came online and we could sort of put it on the big screen and be part of their club. So they actually see how our club operates and perhaps interact.
I think that's a really good idea, Margaret. And this is why I'm saying, you know, it's all very well for the young bucks like the Natalie Dupes and the Evan Burrells of the world to say, you know, go online, this is where the future is and all of that, you know. But until they hear it from people of their own, shall we say, cohort, and I mean that with the greatest of respect, everybody, you know.
Yeah, all right.
Until they hear it from their own, from the people in their own cohort, they're going to feel a little intimidated by it. But what I want them to say is, you know, if Bruce Harvey can do it, then for crying out loud, anyone can do it, you know? Or, you know, if Rob Woolley can do it, or if Lyndall can do it, anyone can do it, you know? And that's the breakthrough we need to make. It's, you know, I've seen Evan Burrell and I've seen Natalie Dupe and I've seen, you know, a few others, Nathan, you know, Watkins from well, he was South Six Inlet, now he's Cooma, and who knows where the hell he is today. But, you know, I've seen these people go to Rotary Leadership Institute, for example, and give presentations there. And I've seen them at other types of, give other types of presentations. And I look around the room and just about everyone over 50 is looking at them saying, oh, you know, it's all very well for you young ones, but it's really not for me, you know. And in front of me now, I'm looking at, you know, 3, 6, 9, you know, 10 people here that I can see here, and you know, they're all handling it. They're all, dare I say, over 50. Yeah, right. And you know, they're not only handling it, but they're it's the way they operate, you know. So it surely to other people, then it can't be that hard. And you know, okay, yes, my computer crashed 3 times tonight. I get that, right? But we're not asking them to be members of an e-club. You know, they may well be attracted to the thing as a result of this, so you may well get something out of it. But what we're asking them is to see how this can work for them. I personally think that a private Facebook group for members of the club is a much better and much easier solution all round as a substitute for a club bulletin than any printed or PDF'd and emailed club bulletin could ever be. It means that, you know, you can put a roster out on Monday and everyone can have their say about, you know, I can't make it on that day, but, you know, Bill's offered to, you know, to step in for me, and it can be changed in real time. And, you know, we can have discussions about, we can have votes about, you know, club issues and things like that. That means we can actually operate as a Rotary Club in real time. How many times, you know, have journalists been put off doing a story for Rotary because the person that they've contacted has said, yes, well, you know, we'd really like to do this story, but I'll have to run this by the club board and we don't meet for another month, or, you know, we're not meeting for another week. And you know, opportunities are lost because of the fact that we've been operating, you know, with a 1950s process for an awfully long time. So, are you here to help?
Mark, it's Beth here.
Yes, Beth.
The Rotary Leadership newsletter that came out earlier this week had a number of examples of how the new meeting procedure can benefit clubs with flexibility, etc., etc.
Yep.
And I think that from the e-club perspective, if we were able to demonstrate how our meeting works, but to a club, and show them that their meeting could work like that if someone was not able to attend, as I think Margaret said, clubs are really sceptical about the e-club and the fact that, but all you want to do is take our members. So if we could show them that they could actually keep their members by being able to link them in and be a bit more flexible, maybe that's how we can be of benefit.
Beth, I reckon it's a great idea that we could tout around all the various program directors for the clubs around the district that maybe instead of as a guest speaking engagement at a club one night that you guys actually tune into their meeting and they tune into your meeting at a given time to see how it works. I'm looking at this. I've done e-meetings with GoToMeeting before, and I've even done an e-meeting with Skype. Given that I crashed 3 times to set this up tonight, but I'm now looking at 11 squares on my screen, and everyone who's here is in attendance, and I can see them all now. I don't know what happens when you get beyond 12. Maybe, if you get to 15, I don't know if the individual screens get a little smaller, but I'm getting a gallery view here of everybody who's here. And I actually feel for the first time at an e-club meeting, and this is probably about my fourth e-club meeting, I feel for the first time that I'm actually at a meeting.
Yeah.
I'm not a great fan of Rotary Club meetings, I've got to tell you. So, I tend to think that meetings are killing us, but the way I'm looking at this is a whole new ballgame as far as I can see. And finally, we've got a format that is conducive to a Rotary meeting or to a meeting of any sort for that matter. I think, look, Jeff, you're going to have to get a little prettier, I think, mate. If you're going to attract any younger members to these things, but look, there's nothing, at least get a wig or something. I don't know. He said,
such a reflection as you do.
Mark, you raised one very good point with regards to members not being able to attend their traditional sort of meeting for one reason or another. Probably one of these days the answer probably lies in some sort of hybrid arrangement whereby if you can attend a physical meeting, you attend. If not, the club is on GoToMeeting or Zoom or something like that, so you can actually, if you are away or if you are unable to travel, as I am at the moment, you can still participate just by signing on. The other point that I just wanted to reinforce was that the thing that you mentioned earlier about young people and volunteering. There was some, I think I may not have mentioned it to you, but I have mentioned it to others, that the University of Wollongong, it'll be a little bit longer, about 4 or 5 years ago, did some research into volunteering by Australians, and they found that the level of volunteering is very much the same as it used to be. I'm talking about the quantity of it. The only thing that's changed are the patterns, and one of them has got to do with the changing role of males in families. That the male is getting more involved with the lives of their children, the school, sport, and this sort of thing. But the research went further than that to look at ways of improving or getting younger people to join traditional organisations like Rotary, and they've done a lot of work with SES and others. And it really is it's up to the organisations to offer the young people something in return. Give them a reason to want to attend apart from just feeling good. And the thing that the University of Wollongong has operating with SES and others, I think they're doing it with the RFS too, is organising leadership training programs. And of course, then the younger people are seeing it as part of their career development and therefore are more motivated to attend. So perhaps that's something that we need to look at. The University of Wollongong was looking for organisations like Rotary to get involved, but I think that with Rotary, it didn't get too far. I'm not sure who they approached. Wollongong University is of course, a different district from us, and perhaps the clubs in that area weren't that particularly interested, but there's no reason why they couldn't be approached, and there's no reason why our district couldn't participate.
I think there is an issue there, though, Jeff, in that organisations like the SES have established courses that they put their staff through, and that unless you've completed course A, you don't get promoted to position B.
Yeah.
And while we will have individuals within our ranks that are trained leaders of particular types of courses and whatnot, we as an organisation don't specialise in any one area, but it's not beyond our wit to organise partnerships with organisations that do. And we, for example, up here in the Highlands, we have a very good relationship with the SES and the Rural Fire Brigades and places like that, and they could, we could organise to not only send kids along, for leadership training or whatever, but we could also be participating in those operations as well. Yes, I think the point you raise is a really good one.
Just one thing, Jeff, with those sort of programs that the University of Wollongong run, do they run them at other campuses other than Wollongong?
Well, they're doing some work in the ACT, I believe.
What about Shoalhaven?
No, I don't know. Basically, I retired a couple of years ago now, and I've been my health hasn't been very good, so I haven't been really in that much in touch. I've had to put my PhD on hold in the hope that my health will improve. But there's no. I know the people involved. There's no reason why I can't give them a call and find out who they are working with, and whether at the moment they're looking for participants from the general community or from community organisations. It was part of a research project. I think it had ARC. Funding, the Australian Research Council funding, so there was plenty of money around and there would have been plenty of resources attached to it. So I'll just check to see if that's still going.
Okay,
Mark,
thanks, Jeff.
Mark, on another point, one thing that you may not be aware of is that our GoToMeeting equivalent, Zoom, is actually a 365-day by 24-hour membership, and we use it for maybe 2 hours a week. So there is also opportunities if you want us to link that so that you can have district meetings online on times when we're not using it.
And I'm telling you, as Rob will confirm, some of our district meetings, people travel a long way to get there. They've got 2 and 3 hour drives to get there, 2 and 3 hour drives to get back, and they can often go for 6 hours. So
and if the district gets bigger,
yes. Well, there is that too. Yes.
Sorry. The other thing I just wanted to mention as well is I've been going around doing the talks, as you heard, on fellowships, and I've now been invited back to Bungendore and Tuggeranong because A, they want to hear about the e-clubs, and B, they want to hear about the balloon, but and more about fellowships. So I might see if I can actually do one of those or both of those online so that they can see how easy it is to set it up.
And Ross, just quietly, your involvement with the Scouts, is there not some sort of a leadership training thing involved with them?
Not from a computing point of view, technology point of view.
No, not necessarily computing, but in terms of getting kids in who want to come and do some volunteer work and maybe gain some sort of an accreditation, as Jeff was suggesting.
Yep.
There you go.
We put all our scouts through. Anyone who wants to become a leader, there's a formal training that takes them through a Cert 3 in. Used to be a Cert 3 in frontline management. Cert 4 in frontline management. So you can get a Cert 3 or Cert 4.
Yeah. Ross, let me introduce you to Jeff. Jeff, this is Ross.
one of the things that Rotary is doing all the time, and one of the things that we can teach, is basically project management. Apart from anything else, when you think of the number of fundraising activities that Rotary's involved in, and most of the Rotarians that get involved in that sort of thing have never been exposed to project management before, but we've got systems and we've got documentation and a whole host of things to help people. I think it's a question of us sitting down and working out maybe an offering of some kind, a general offering to people in the community as an encouragement to join Oryx, join Rotary. We really do need to show them what Rotary can offer them in terms of personal development.
Yeah.
You just want to show them how much we can do how many people could do how much in the last minute, don't you? To get it over the line.
Mark, it's Lyndall.
Yes, Lyndall.
Putting on my my professional hat, which is in the training arena, I think that what we need is a couple of things here to get out to clubs and to individuals. That is to think about messages we want to get across, to think about the technology we want to encourage people to use, and to basically have a not a curriculum, but an outline of the sorts of things that we want to cover, so that it's not just down to one or two individuals, but anybody who comes along and has some skills in this area can pick that up. So I think that's one thing. I also think something that would be very useful, and we've got some people here who are very good at various aspects of technology and social media, is a little cheat sheet that we can give to people. So when we're talking about Facebook, how do you do these things on Facebook? And, what are the important things around maintaining your Facebook page? Because, like anything, your website and your Facebook, if it's not up to date, it's not worth anything. And that sort of thing. So that might be something else that we could do some work around. And sort of think about this in a little bit more structured way, if you like, and work out how we can best handle it with clubs who are either reluctant to do it or just don't have the knowledge within the club to know where to start.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's got to seem easy and it's got to seem accessible. You guys are a club that is basically dedicated to the use of technology, and I admire you for it. I honestly see, people of your demographic as the ones who are going to make the breakthroughs here. People in their 30s and 40s can rabbit on all they like about, using all the jargon and showing how clever they all are. It's just going to go right. It's either going to go over the heads of most Rotarians, or it's going to be met by a brick wall of resistance because it's not my bag, baby, And so that's why I really want to get you guys involved.
Another idea that we've had and we've kicked around for a little while has been getting some very high-class guest speakers and making our meetings open to anybody who'd like to come along to them for those speaker nights. And that might be a good way of introducing people to the technology and the meeting technology. So if they're just coming along as a guest and they're sitting there and just listening to the guest speaker, they can see how things work, they're not scary, and then can start asking questions about how they can then use that better within their own club too.
Here's my caution on that, okay? Now, just last night on Facebook, an old friend of mine from Queensland, past District Governor Des Lawson, put a video up online talking about all the wonderful things that the Rotary Club of Port of Brisbane in Queensland had done to save itself. Basically, they were a struggling club, struggling with 6 to 8 members, and all of a sudden they're 26 strong, having put on 5 new members in the last 6 months. They've obviously taken steps to salvage what could have been a very sad wreckage. And Des clearly had a very good story to tell. But there he was, sitting in front of a computer screen like this and talking like this in a monotone, saying how wonderful it was. And the presentation itself was, and I say this, knowing that, I love Des like a brother, a very older brother. It was just it was an awful presentation. Hang on a sec. I'm getting a question here. This quick. Can all the yes, thank you. Fine. I was wondering how am I going to get rid of this thing on my screen. I said yes. Okay. I said yes. I'm glad. But Des was making. He was trying to tell what was ultimately a really good story. Oh God, you're killing me with these questions. Okay, that's interesting. Right. The issue then becomes, what I was devastated to see was then a whole heap of Rotarians getting online and saying, great video, Des, it was a terrible video. It was a good story, but it was a terrible video, and it wasn't going to do anything to promote the aspect of Rotary as a vibrant, with it community that uses its technology well. I'd be looking for something like a TED Talk.
Yeah. That's about the presenter, not about the story or the technology.
That's
now,
right,
one of the ideas we had was at Ryla this year, the guest speaker on the evening night was a Rotarian from Halifax in the UK, and I can't remember his name, but he decided he wanted to canoe, kayak the Mississippi from its head to the Gulf.
Yep.
And he told his story of that. Now, he was a storyteller. So somebody like that's about the story, that's about the presenter and the story and the technology altogether. So if you can marry the 3 of them, it works. I understand your caution very well.
That's the challenge, that we
but
have.
But it's about finding the right speaker.
Yeah, we have to, and this is why I said earlier that I'm not a great fan of Rotary Club meetings, and that I fear that they are actually killing us. In fact, what I mean by that is that this perceived need to have a guest speaker is what's killing us, because we end up getting a whole heap of speakers who aren't worth a pinch of the proverbial, and they're just boring us rigid. And if we're bringing guests along to those meetings, it's not doing us any good whatsoever. I would much rather see a guest speaker once every 6 weeks or 2 months or something like that, and be assured that they're going to be really good, in order to say, right, well, that gives us the opportunity to do other things in those other weeks where we don't have guest speakers. Apart from anything else, I think, the thing about Rotary is that you do it with your friends. Everything you do in Rotary, you do with your friends. And guest speakers, if they're boring, they just get in the way of that dare I use the word fellowship, at a meeting. I'd much rather spend 20 minutes talking to my mates around the table.
No, I agree. But I just thought it might be a way to introduce people to the technology.
Absolutely, absolutely. You get somebody like Mark Tedeschi.
It's not that scary.
Yeah. You get someone like Mark Tedeschi, who Milton Ulladulla got last week or two back, to come and do a town hall presentation, about some of the historic crimes that he's written about in his books. I think they had like 200 or 300 people at that meeting the other day. Now it wasn't anything particularly to do with Rotary. It's just that the Rotary Club had organised it. There's no reason why, particularly if you can promote these events, events such as the one that you're suggesting, the ones you're suggesting, if you can promote those on those community Facebook private, groups, you could get a whole audience of people in there, watching this go around, watching the Rotarians at the end of it ask questions. Maybe they can participate in the question and answers themselves, of course, and actually turn it into a community event. Now, Ross, tell me how many people a Zoom meeting can accommodate. I don't know, but
50.
if we had 50 people tuning in,
license can take 50.
there you go. Well, there's 50 people, How many people in your club at the moment?
16.
16. 20? Okay, well, you've got 30 spare seats. That's fantastic.
Mark,
Yeah.
Hang on. Jeff's dying on stage. Okay, sorry, go ahead. He's just blown 11 people off my screen.
Yeah, I've got a lung infection, and
sorry, Jeff. Yep.
No, that's all right. I just didn't get to the mute switch fast enough.
As someone who used to do a community radio show, I know exactly how you're feeling. So
what we're seeing now, Mark, is you in like full screen, basically.
You go back to the gallery view, Beth.
No, I didn't.
Top right
do
hand.
That. I didn't do that. But what I'm suggesting is that David, every meeting that we have a speaker, actually does a recording. Now, last meeting, as this is an example of, I think, where our Rotary Club can be of far greater benefit to a lot of people than a lot of other ones, and that is that the speaker last time was on micro boards for people with disabilities to enable the parents of the person with a disability to take less of a number one role and set their child up for ongoing benefit and assistance, etc., when they're not around.
Yep.
Now, one of my friends has a granddaughter in just such a position.
Yeah.
And today I had coffee with her and told her about the speaker. Now, I'm sending her an email to link to the website to show so she can watch that video. So there's another way of, how many times have you been at a Rotary meeting and heard a great speaker?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you can't tell anybody else about it because it's not in the moment.
Yeah.
So another idea for an e-club.
But of course, there are opportunities for a Rotary Club, traditional Rotary clubs, to record their guest speakers and put them on their websites as well.
Yeah, but they don't.
But they don't. That's the problem. What I'm curious about is, we don't seem to have had too many problems with, voices cutting in and out, breaking up and whatnot. But I'm wondering how reliable it is. It seems pretty good to me, but this is my first time on Zoom, so I'd have to be led by you guys on that.
Now, Zoom is a worldwide a network. It has nodes all around the world, so it's utterly reliable.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's one thing. You can have up to 500 people in the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. Depending
Mark,
on
up to 500.
There's Bruce here, Mark. On the with Dream Cricket, we were using GoToMeeting quite a bit.
Yep.
And we did have in the early days a lot of issues of people fading in and out, particularly when you're all over the country and you've got different sort of
bandwidths and things
broadband,
like that.
and all that sort of stuff, and that was a real issue. But going to Zoom did solve quite a few of those problems. It was a lot better.
And one of the things we're noticing is also as the NBN spreads, we're finding individuals are actually having.
Yes.
I mean, Jeff.
Who here's on NBN?
Jeff's on NBN, aren't you? Yeah.
Yep.
Jeff.
That's only two of you.
Yeah, but when we first started, you could hardly hear Jeff or see his video. It'd cut in and out. But tonight it's perfect, right? So that's a good example of how the National Broadband Network is actually fixing these sort of simple problems.
Yeah. Okay.
Mark, the Zoom program, you can actually, any individual can use Zoom for a meeting at any time, anywhere, for a maximum of 40 minutes for nothing.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
and you'd like to think that most meetings could be over in 40 minutes.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So, for example, when we're away in the motorhome, and with the role that I have with vocational training, I need to continue to have meetings, etc.
Yeah.
So we meet on Zoom, and it is really good actually, because you know that you've got to finish the meeting in 40 minutes or they'll all fall off the tree.
Oh dear! This is wait till I tell Stephen Hill.
Mark, just a request from me. Are you going to send me your district goals for the foundation tonight?
As soon as I saw your face
on Saturday.
As soon as I saw your face, Rob, I started feeling guilty.
Oh, I'm proud.
I'm waiting for district goals as district fellowships officer too.
Oh, mate, there's a leaflet out somewhere. I was looking for it earlier today, but it's around somewhere. I'll find it and I'll send it to you, Ross. Don't worry.
Join the queue.
But the pressure of being the DGE.
Yeah, but you know, Rob, you know, last year and add 10%, isn't it? That's what it all is.
I don't worry about the financial goals. I can make them up.
Mate, I might have to delegate that to you. But there you go. Yeah, certainly. I'll give you some personal goals tomorrow. That I've got to go to Sydney. In fact, I'm going to the District 9630 Pets in Toowoomba on Saturday. So I've got to drive up to Sydney tomorrow so I can catch the plane first thing Saturday morning. So I've got to knock all these off before I go tomorrow. So I promise I will, Rob.
Not a problem.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Lyndall, your job to close the meeting.
Hang on before you do that.
We're on overtime.
Yeah, look, I just want to, are you guys logging your service hours? So when you go out on projects, are you signing on and off? That sort of thing? I suppose you have to, really, don't you?
We are working on the technology for that at the moment. So yes, it is on our radar, Mark.
This is important to Ian Risley's year. Ian Risley is very keen for all clubs to. I mean, in fact, I'd say most clubs in Australia are already doing it. But you know, the way you guys do your service hours is a little different to the way everyone else does. So I was just curious about that. The other thing that, and this is something that you can do and you can organise, and you can make them turn them into fundraisers or whatever. But Ian is really keen for Rotary clubs to plant 1 million trees, not each, but he wants to plant 1 million trees over the course of his tenure, right? And this is a very easy fundraiser and community involvement. You can organise. You can help out with with Rotary clubs in your various dispersed homes and all that sort of stuff, but just be aware of that. That planting trees is something that you're going to hear a bit more of, particularly if you attend District Assembly April 29 and 30. Yes, and I suspect that's Ross. Is that Ross McConnell being a pain?
No, David Fox.
David.
Oh, David Fox. Right. Okay. Fine. And the other thing is, come to District Conference. Come to District Conference. Right. It's going to be October 6, 7, and 8 here in Bowral, my old school at Chevalier. And Ross McConnell's going to be heavily involved with the fellowships. We've got a Neil Diamond night on the Saturday night. It's going to be a great show. Come up, and I think we can do it fairly economically as well. So there you go. That's me out, folks. Thank you. Do I drop the mic now?
We're going to be doing the RDU. We're going to be doing the RDU clothing. Yep. Of course, we'll be there, and we have a request to make.
I need more than 2 of you to be there, though. Okay.
We will. We have a request to make, and that is, as a fundraiser for the club, we'd like to propose to make jams and pickles and sell them as part of our club's, fundraising, because an e-club doesn't get a lot of opportunities. And how would you feel about that?
Just say yes.
Well, certainly put it this way, at Assembly, I've got no problem. You've got 3 weeks, okay? I would have to take it to my committee in terms of district conference, because one of the big things that we're trying to do is promote the Southern Highlands as a destination with the foodies and the winies and and all of that. But I think it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Couldn't we put Southern, as in the Southern Highlands, on our little label?
Jeff, you used to live in Moss Vale, didn't you, Jeff?
Still do.
Still does.
There you go. Well then, there you go. Job's done. Solution has been found. There you go.
Okay, Jeff, get cooking.
Yeah, it's all up to you, Jeff. What's going to happen is that you're all going to have to go to Jeff's place and produce the jams and whatnot's there. So there you go.
We'll do it on Zoom.
Okay.
Do it on Zoom, yeah. Nice, Jeff.
What's wrong with inhaling it all anyway?
You better get boiling those jars, Jeff. There you go.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, folks.
Thanks very much for coming along and sharing your ideas with us, and it certainly give us something to think about. And I'm sure we'll be back in touch with you.
It's been the best E-Club meeting I've ever been to.
Good.
I actually say that quite seriously. So there you go. The others have been disasters. So probably because I was guest speaker. But anyway, that's another story. Okay, folks.
Okay.
I've got to go and see how the Rabbitohs are going.
Thanks, Mark.
See you later.
Good night.
See you.
You do.
See ya.
Mate.
How do I log out of this thing?